AIDS. Yes, I can say that word, AIDS. The difference is when you find out that, when someone has HIV, if they do not take medication, their immune system goes quite low, and it goes so low to the extent where it could turn into AIDS. So if you don't know that you have HIV, it can turn into AIDS. But if you do know that you have HIV, guess what? You do what me and Yvonne done, and you take medication to keep your immune system in a place where it's not compromised. So I just wanted to quickly say that for people that might not understand what the difference is. And yes, I have had HIV for a number of years. It has not progressed to AIDS. And the reason it hasn't is because I've taken my medication and I've looked after myself. My partner is negative, but my medication is so much that I cannot transmit the virus to him. But we could talk more about that maybe on a different episode. But for now, I want to introduce Yvonne. Yvonne, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so keen to understand, or for everyone to understand, like, your story.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for inviting me. And yeah, the journey has been a long one. And it's just lovely to meet other women, and to meet people who are interested in the subject, finding out more and becoming more aware. Because I think it's great in this day and age when we ask more questions about things, we're becoming more challenging. We're not just accepting things, so mental and emotional health. And so this is part of awakening to physical health. But for me also, it's about challenging the stigma, because HIV and how we see it hasn't changed since the 80s, and yet the medication is advanced 10-fold, 20-fold even, in the 80s when it was when people first became aware of it. We didn't get the medication until early 90s, AZT, and I think even then the medication was problematic and had lots of side effects, and I think people, alongside the image of HIV as being a death sentence, had to manage the image of the medication. Usually people were taking about 21 tablets a day for the medication. Now we take one.
Can I ask you something about this? What was your image of HIV back in the olden days like?
Same as everybody else's, because the nearest I can get people to understanding what it was like is to think about COVID, which was only 3 years ago. The difference with COVID and HIV is everyone was on lockdown with COVID. Everyone did it together. Government, newspaper, press, politicians, we all understood the problem. They said we were all in it together, right?
Yeah.
And so even when there was finger pointing to China, people still understood that that wasn't an effective way of managing a massive pandemic. Now, you wheel back to the 80s and we weren't so fortunate. No one understood it, same as COVID, but instead of trying to understand, people were just looking to blame, and it tended to be the marginalized community. So at that time, it was the tombstone out. We had no cure. We didn't even have the medication at that time. So the government was really pushing out the message that, you have to be safe. But it particularly targeted then gay men. And so what happened was we had the hate campaign. We had the general social view about gay rights, gay lives, gay sex was very negative, very hostile. They became the people who were targeted.
Yeah.
The tragedy is at the same time this was having a massive impact on Africa as well. But I think in our minds it was something that was distant and far away. So a lot of us remember doing Live Aid,
No, absolutely. Because I'm not sure about you, but I did not see heterosexual women in the UK ever. ever having HIV. It's the thing that I was worried about was pregnancy, not HIV. Or in the olden days, you called it the clap, go down the clap clinic, or even then it was called VD, venereal disease. Those are the things, oh, don't get VD, don't get pregnant, but you'd never think to yourself, don't get HIV.
But that's how it was advertised, because that's what I was saying. They focused so much on the gay community. It wasn't just the gay community. It was prostitutes and intravenous drug users. So they had this pool of people who were at high risk.
Yeah.
And so once you hear that the at-risk group, once you don't tick those boxes, you switch off. And so for women, we just thought, okay, it's not happening to us. And we moved on. And I think, once they said the gay community, the heterosexual community, the straight folks just thought, well, it's not happening to us. Not happening to me as a woman, gone. Stop. Yeah, and you were right, like you. The only thing I ever thought of was make sure you don't get pregnant, because that was as bad as having a slap off your mum. You don't get pregnant. And
that's it. That was all you're interested in. And you know what? Over the years, I've met so many young, white, British girls, and guys. And I'm like, bloody hell, like it doesn't, HIV does not discriminate. It don't matter how hot you are, how clever you are, how funny you are, how nice you are. It doesn't matter, it doesn't discriminate. If you have sex, there's a possibility.
That's the bottom line. That is the bottom line. Because I always say HIV didn't read our leaflet, because so many of us are shocked when we get the diagnosis, because we're thinking, well, it's not supposed to happen to us. And I said, the bottom line is HIV is a virus. As long as you're having sex, which is the right environment for it, one of many, but that once you're having sex unprotected, you can acquire HIV if the other person already has it.
And the thing about it, Yvonne, because you've touched something there, that I kind of feel the stigma of HIV is related to sex. Could we say that word, sex? Oh my God, people have sex, and you're not allowed to talk about sex, because if you talk about it, you are what? Trollop or a slag or a scare or all these other words. And if you notice, I use all the female words, a hoe, all those sorts of words, because you have sex. But then I done some research, Yvonne, and you know what? 98 or 99% of the world's population have sex. So why is HIV so flipping stigmatized? If more people knew that if you get tested and you look after yourself and you take your medication, you will be okay. Like us. We're okay, aren't we?
Well, I was going to say, because that's the missing thing, isn't it? One third of the global population is women who have acquired HIV. So it's very much a heterosexual thing. And what we have seen now, although we're trying to reduce new acquisitions of HIV to zero by 2030, we still have older people coming into or being diagnosed as HIV positive, which is a shame, because I think once we start talking about sex, the older generation keeps thinking, well, that's what them young people are doing, but not realizing actually we're doing it too, either in our relationship, either coming out of long-term relationships, starting up new ones. That puts us at risk, and we don't think, because again, our thought pattern is going back to as long as I can't get pregnant. So women and men in the 50 plus group are thinking, well, we can't have babies, so no worry, we're having unprotected sex. And actually, we're not thinking about STIs, of which HIV is one. And we have a hang up like none others about sex, totally, and navigating that whole language, but also about relationships as well. And I think one of the things I find is once you have the diagnosis, you have to rethink how you talk about sex with someone. Yeah, in fact, it's not even a rethink. You have to start thinking about it, because you have to have that conversation, and that takes time.
That does take a lot, doesn't it? And I think so. But I'm kind of curious as to, so there's a good news story for both of us, and we can talk about, hey, it's actually okay, everybody, you know, we're not at death's door and we're not about to top ourselves, you know, it's actually okay. But I am curious about, like, when you first found out, like, how did you deal with that? And because there are people out there that might be listening that might have had a diagnosis, and you know, maybe they want to kind of feel a sense of kind of community, or it might actually not just HIV, it could be anything, you know, it could be something, it could be any STD. And somebody, like, there's a young girl I know, and she got, what was it, herpes. She got the herpes, you know, and she wanted to talk to someone that maybe understood that. So how was it for you when you first found out?
Okay, so for me, I think when it's not easy to acquire any STD, because it's like you said, we're so hush-hush about it. So it makes it very stigmatized, and you kind of hide and you have to manage the shame. I would encourage to have one close friend.
The shame of what?
Yeah, the shame of having sex.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
There's two types of sex. It's sex in general, but then I think that it's layered with a sex outside of marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think to some degree we'll all accept that we do it, but you can be shamed as a single mother.
Yeah.
Because it's a proof that you had sex outside of marriage. So it's okay to have sex if you're married, because then it's about having children. But there is a life outside of that, and there are those of us who don't go to church. But the point I'm making is the shame is what makes it difficult. You should be able to, you're having consensual sex. If you acquire an STD, STI, you should be able to just go into the hospital or go into the clinic, have that tested, treated, managed, and bye-bye to RCU. And yeah, it's a bit difficult. It's like thinking you may be pregnant. We all get traumatized about that whole thing before birth, sex, but we should be okay with it. But I think the trouble with HIV is there's no going back with it. You can't undo with a vaccination or a pill once you have HIV. So it's lifelong. So we're not talking about it yet as a society. We're not really open to it. We're not understanding how it can emotionally and mentally impact. And a lot of the time it's still shrouded in secrecy and shame. So a lot of people.
Oh, are you still there? I think we got a little bit disconnected. I'm not sure if Yvonne can still hear me. I think we may have lost her. So maybe on that note, I think I will stop recording now. And oh, you're still there. Okay. All right. I'm gonna end it here because I think our oh, are you still there? Okay, fine. It kind of cut off for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I was saying, yeah.
So what I want to say, Yvonne, is that we go and we get our teeth tested, you know, and we get our teeth checked every 6 months. You're meant to go to the dentist. For those out there that don't do it, go to the dentist every 6 months and get your teeth checked. Then you go to the opticians to get your eyes checked. Women go and get smear tests to make sure that, you know, for check the cervix. And men, they get prostrate. I can never pronounce it. Prostrate. Okay. Yeah. They get that checked. I think they're the main ones. You know, then you can get your blood pressure checked, and you know, you get your weight checked. So imagine you get all these, and your cholesterol checked. So you can get all these things checked, but no, not with sex. You know, you don't go get a HIV test because that means you're being naughty. That means you're being bad. That means that you've had sex. And there's no way that could happen. And I think we need to look at it in that way.
So normalizing testing sexual and reproductive health, getting used to testing and saying it's just one part of the many tests. So there is a National HIV Testing Week,
Yeah.
but I would like people just to get used to testing. Go test, find out. And it's a good way of MOTing and making sure that, you can, if you've acquired HIV from the moment you know your status, you start taking the medication and looking after yourself so you don't damage your immune system. One of the things with HIV that I notice is people take it to protect other people. But I also say, more importantly, take it to protect your immune system. Because remember, the virus, it's only inside your body looking to replicate. That's its function. It's not judgmental. It's not interested in what society thinks. And as it continues to replicate in your body and damage your immune system, when it gets to a point where your immune system is completely damaged, you can acquire lots of opportunistic infection, which is all under the umbrella of AIDS. That's what AIDS is. AIDS isn't an illness. It's just lots of acquired infections, opportunistic infections, because you don't have any immune system. And my argument is, why would you wait till your body is damaged? Why wait till it's really hard for you to get well when you could test regularly, know at the point you acquire it, if you acquire it at all, start taking your meds, get your immune system back up and running. And it also means that you don't create that chronic inflammation in your system and on your organs and on your body that make it difficult for the doctors to get you back up and running. Because remember, it can have neurological implications. So, your mental functioning, but also the gradual wearing down has a long-term impact on your body. So for me, test regularly, keep yourself healthy. Sexual health is really important. Emotional, mental. That way, if you know, wrap around support around yourself, take the medication, and with time, you will get on with your life and live long and healthy and well. But definitely a message. But unfortunately, like we're saying, if we don't come out and start talking about it, a lot of people are living in silence in our community.
I think there's two things that you said there. There's the physical side and then there's the mental side. And you articulated that so wonderfully, so clearly about the physical impacts on your body, and then the mental side, is easier to deal with if your physical side is heavy. And you said something earlier on what I think was absolutely key. If you don't want to get a test, why? And actually ask yourself that question, why? I think we're going to start rounding it up now, Yvonne. But before we go, is there anything in particular that you want to say? Some last words?
I think that the greatest thing you can do is be kind to yourself. And if you know someone who's positive, if they disclose to you kindness and support, but more importantly for yourself, and say, look after yourself and go get tested on a regular basis. It's easy. It takes 2 minutes, and then you know where you stand with your HIV status. It's not up to somebody else, it's up to you.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I think maybe next time, I'd love to talk to you more, go a little bit more in depth about that naughty thing called sex, because I don't know why as a society we stigmatize it. And I think that sex has been hijacked. It's been hijacked in lots of different ways, but maybe we can have a chat about that next, because next time we speak.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
To it. Take care.
Sending you lots of love and blessings, my sister.
Okay, you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.